Alright, continuing on with the series, today we have the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets were coming off a year where they went 15-32 in 2024-25, but ended up losing in the conference semis to OKC, who were the eventual champions. In the offseason, the Denver Nuggets didn't end up bringing any draft picks in, but they got busy with everything else. They signed Christian Braun to that extension after his breakout year, brought back Bruce Brown, signed Tim Hardaway Jr., traded for Cam Johnson as well as Jonas Valanciunas, and in return the losses were Michael Porter Jr., who was in that deal for Cam Johnson, Dario Saric, who's in the deal for Jonas Valanciunas, Russell Westbrook, and Vlatko Konchar, who both left in free agency. There were very high expectations for a championship run after bringing in a ton of depth pieces to surround Jokic and Murray, and rightfully so. Now getting into the season, they started off going 19-6 in their first 25 games. The team came out hot and looked like they were ready to compete for a championship this year. This was even without two key contributors for most of that stretch, as Christian Braun went down for an extended period of time after just 11 games, as well as Aaron Gordon after being in and out of the lineup for 13 games before going down with a hamstring injury. These injuries allowed for the breakout of Peyton Watson, who immediately slid into the starting lineup in place for Aaron Gordon. He came in and provided incredible 3-and-D ability, showing off his ability to be an off-ball threat as well as a ball handler in some offensive sets. It is also worth noting that his ability to be an on-ball defender and an elite rim protector as a wing. He really uses size and athleticism on both sides of the floor, but it was really impressive to see what he was able to do on the defensive side of the floor, especially the impact he had around the hoop. As for the Brown replacement, it was kind of by committee. We saw guys like Spencer Jones, Jalen Pickett, and Tim Hardaway Jr. provide production. While all three guys looked great in their minutes, Tim Hardaway Jr. ended up being the one that stuck. I know I haven't mentioned either of the two stars yet, but Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray did their typical thing, provided all-star level production, and led the Nuggets to that 19-6 record. There isn't really much to say about them because they were just kind of doing what they typically do. These two kept being that dynamic duo, that unstoppable tandem, till about December 29th when Jokic went down with a knee hyperextension. A very scary looking injury. A lot of people thought it was more than just an extension, but he ended up avoiding any serious damage to his knee. The Nuggets were sitting at 22-9 at this time, and lots of questions came up about whether or not they would be able to stay afloat with their lack of center depth. Jamal Murray absolutely came alive during this time and was truly playing like an all-NBA guard. He did just about everything he could to ensure the Nuggets stayed afloat, leading them to an 11-7 record in Jokic's absence. And this with the help of Peyton Watson, Jonas Valanciunas, and Tim Hardaway Jr., who was huge during this stretch. He really solidified his 6 Man of the Year campaign with the production he was giving. The Nuggets were sitting at 33-60 when Jokic returned, but lost 3 in a row after his return and went to the deadline at 33-19. They stayed relatively quiet over the deadline, only making one small move, which was trading away Hunter Tyson to the Nets for a future second round pick being this year. But the injury bug continued to plague this team, as at the deadline, Peyton Watson went down with an injury that would hold him out for about 6 weeks, an unfortunate blow, but it almost lined up perfectly with the return of Christian Braun, who immediately came back and returned to the starting lineup. The production he gave was much better than what he was doing at the start of the year, but still did not look like he was worth that $125 million contract extension that they gave him in the offseason. As the season came to an end, the Nuggets ended up going 54-28, which was good for third in the West, and they were playing good enough to have a lot of people pick them to be the champion this year. This idea was short-lived as they lost to the 6th-seeded Timberwolves in just 6 games, and this is even with Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo not playing in the final 2 games. The Nuggets lost every road game against Minnesota and averaged fewer than 97 points, continuing a trend that's seen them going just 2-8 in their last 10 playoff road games. A scary stat for a team that has as high as expectations as this Nuggets team does. Someone I didn't really talk about, but is definitely worth noting, is Aaron Gordon. He came out of the gates hot with a 50-point game right off the bat, but it was a tough year of injuries for Aaron Gordon. He missed time with 2 different hamstring injuries this season. These have really started to take a toll on him, and durability has quickly become an issue when you're talking about him. He even missed multiple games in their first round matchup with the Timberwolves this season. Not really a guy that you want to be on the sidelines. He's the guy they rely on for scoring and defense. And to have him sitting out games when he should be playing or when you want him healthy, it's not really the best look. I hope he can get whatever he has going on figured out. It seems like he just cannot stay on the floor right now. Alright, looking ahead. The Nuggets have the number 26 pick in the draft and could be looking to replace Peyton Watson depending on how free agency goes. I think in the range, the best option available to address that need would be a guy like Isaiah Evans, a versatile 3-and-D wing that brings in great off-ball shooting and scoring, while also providing length and athleticism on the wing. A bit shorter than Watson, but brings a similar motor that can replicate what he did for the Nuggets this season. As I mentioned before, the regular season was very successful, but the playoffs were not. Denver won more games than did in their 2023 championship run, and finished as the NBA's top-ranked offense, but their postseason struggles continued with another disappointing early exit. And this was largely due to the Michael Porter Jr. trade not delivering the expected playoff boost. The Nuggets moved on from Michael Porter Jr. in the offseason and a future first-round pick to acquire Cameron Johnson. This was in the hope to improve their depth and financial flexibility. However, the new additions had limited impact in the playoffs and honestly throughout the entire regular season. Luckily for them, this championship core still remains intact of Jokic, Murray, and Brown. That's Christian Braun. and the rest of the starting lineup is under contract, giving Denver continuity despite the disappointing finish. The financial pressure is definitely limiting this roster's flexibility. The Nuggets enter the offseason well over the luxury tax and both aprons, making it difficult for them to retain key free agents or significantly upgrade their roster without shedding any salary. And a lot of this will impact what to do with Peyton Watson, as he's their biggest free agent priority. Before injuries derailed his year, Watson was having a breakout year as a two-way contributor and efficient three-point shooter. And as a restricted free agent, Denver can match offers, but retaining him could push the team into a deeper second apron territory. The front office might have to make a salary clearing move. It's already mentioned that Denver will be listening to calls on everyone besides Jokic to improve this roster and maximize Jokic's prime years. Two players they definitely should be looking to move are Cam Johnson with his expiring contract and Christian Braun. After very subpar seasons from both of them, moving them will help them stay financially manageable to try and retain the key contributor like Peyton Watson, who is going to cost a ton of money this offseason. It's also worth noting that several important bench pieces could end up leaving. Free agents like Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, as well as Spencer Jones played meaningful roles this season. But with their meaningful roles means increased value in the free agency market. Denver's financial restrictions could make it difficult for them to offer any type of competitive contract. The only surefire decision that Denver knows is that Jokic already came out and said that he will be signing an extension this offseason. He delayed the extension talks last summer, positioning himself for an even larger deal this offseason that will keep him under contract through the 2030-2031 season. But like I said, reports have already come out that he's expected to sign that extension this offseason. It is really important that Denver figures out this financial situation they're in, because depth remains one of the biggest weaknesses on this roster. Even with the league's best offense, Denver still lacks reliable bench production, particularly at point guard and center, and replacing Hardaway's shooting, maintaining wing depth, and developing young players such as Julian Strawther and Daron Holmes will be critical, especially if they cannot bring in any big name pieces or even big time role playing pieces. The Nuggets still have a championship caliber core led by Nikola Jokic, but a disappointing playoff showing, looming financial constraints, and concerns about bench depth will make this offseason crucial for maintaining Denver's title contention window.